Why? Now, some people would ask this question, right? And some people probably who are not immigrants or
Mhm.
didn't grow up in an immigrant, or people who are not of color may ask this question more. Why do the Indians need to have an Indian American church? If they're English speaking, and even the first generation Indians, immigrants are English speaking, why do you need to have a church that is more expressly Indian American? Why can't you just go to the majority culture and try to make it more multi-ethnic or more inclusive of Indians, etc.?
I totally understand the question. It's a great question. And I would say it's almost assuming that there's sort of a neutral thing as culture.
Mm.
Majority culture is like a neutral thing, and then everything else is like an exotic version that you add to it, as opposed to majority culture is a culture. And so an Anglo expressive church is itself a cultural church. And so every church is a cultural church. And so for us, to be honest, even for us, and I even think there's a place for Indian churches, but for us, we were trying to plant a multi-ethnic church, but at the same time, with the freedom to be authentically who God made us to be. And I think there is something more robust and beautiful when every culture is allowed to express who they are. That'll carry on into glory, into the world to come. And so I think we don't have to flatten those things to some homogenous mix that's bland of all of us. It is all of us authentically getting to be what we are. The other thing I would say is, this is a silly example we've used before, but almost just to try and express, it's almost like when there's a white sheet of paper and you add some color to it, you look at that and go, oh, it's so colorful. But if you added the same colors to a brown sheet of paper, the brown is almost so stark that you see it and you can't help but. So in the same way, we were a 50-50 church. We're 50% Indian, 50% not. In any other context, that's an incredibly multi-ethnic church, but often it's seen as an Indian church with some other people as a part of it. And it's just sort of what our assumption of what sort of a neutral background is or isn't. So anyway, I do think we're a multi-ethnic church, but at the same time, there were some things unique about who we were that allowed us to plant different than maybe some other ethnic church.
That's a great, and of course you're speaking to the choir, and I understand
Mm.
exactly what you're saying.